The following story is about a real homicide investigation with graphic content. Viewer discretion is advised. Previously on The Murder Mind.
Did she ever tell you whether or not Nitty had ever acted violently towards her, hit her, did anything physically to her?
Yeah, he was violent.
The Charity, according to her mom, seemed trapped. To her mother, she seemed like she couldn't control what was going on, that Nitty had full control over her daughter. I need to put my feet on the cold concrete of New York City. So we arrive at this apartment complex, this tenement building in Far Rockaway, Queens, New York. I can clearly see about 5 guys sitting on the stoop, blocking the way to go up the stairs. One of the guys in the group looks at Detective Wilkowski and says the stairwell is closed. I'm worried that this thing is gonna go south. I've gotta do something. So here we are standing in front of the stairwell, a bunch of guys sitting there on the stoop. Eddie Wilkowski's taking the lead. It's not going well. I start to have this rush of memory and emotion. Thinking back when I was a child, this is normal. This is what people do. In New York especially. As a kid, I myself remember sitting on the steps with other kids, just sitting around catching up. This is what these guys have done their entire lives. So there's no bad blood because they're actually there. The problem is, they don't want to move for it. In my opinion, the reason why this is happening, these young men have had bad experiences with law enforcement in the past. I get it. I understand that. They have a chip on their shoulder and they're trying to assert some dominance. We're on their turf. This is where they live. This is their building. These are their steps. So whatever they can do to make our lives a little more difficult, they're gonna do that, and they feel empowered to do so because we are actually in their house. Eddie's not making any headway with these guys. These guys are rude and they're looking like no matter what we say, they're not gonna move. But I know one thing, we gotta get to the 4th floor. We're wasting time, we're wasting daylight. So I make the decision, I gotta take charge of this situation. We had to have what you call a come to Jesus meeting. And once that occurs, all sides understand what the rules are. So I look at this one guy sitting on the steps and I say, hey, my man, I need you to get out of the way so we can get upstairs. And he's like, who are you? And with all composure and patience that I could muster, I looked down at him, pulled my jacket back so he could see my badge, and I said, I'm the guy that's gonna put your ass in jail if you don't move the hell out of the way. Talking under his breath, cursing us out, all the while moving out of the way, and just like birds on a wire, when that one bird starts to move, the rest start to follow. They're cussing us out, they're calling us every name in the book, but they're doing exactly what we need them to do, is get out of the way. Eddie looks at me and I just look at him and I apologize. I say, Eddie, I'm sorry for stepping on your toes, but I'm only here for a couple days and we gotta get this thing done. So we finally make our way up the stairs to the 4th floor, and we're here because the intel we have is that this woman that lives on the 4th floor of this tenement building is actually one of Nitty's girlfriends. And from my experience, I know a girlfriend is a wealth of information. And we're gonna call her Rhonda to protect her identity. So we knock on the door, nobody's coming to the door, so we knock a little harder like the cops do, and then I can hear some movement. I hear the door rattle, and all of a sudden, the door opens up. And Rhonda comes to the door, and right away, she's got attitude. We're standing there in suits. She obviously knows that we're the cops. So I ask her, I say, okay, are you Rhonda? And she says, that's my name. I said, okay, we have information that you may know a person named Lee Hines, also known as Nitty. And then at that point, Detective Wilkowski takes it from there. In his heavy New York accent, in his so polite mannerisms, he starts engaging with Rhonda, asking her questions about Nitty. Right away, Rhonda says, I know Nitty, he doesn't live here, I haven't seen him for months. But here's the kicker. As Eddie's talking to Rhonda, I'm looking to the side of her neck, and what do I see? I see a fresh tattoo with the name Nitty. And I know fresh tattoos because as you can see, I've got 2 full sleeves. This tattoo was fresh. She just said she hadn't seen or talked to Nitty in months. But how does she have a fresh tattoo on the side of her neck with this guy's name on it? We didn't believe that. We knew right away Rhonda was full of BS. This is a moment where people make these mistakes. She didn't even think about this glaring tattoo on her neck while she's saying to us, I haven't seen, spoken to, or been around Nitty in months. She totally forgot that. So what I don't want to do, I don't want to confront her about it. I don't want to make it confrontational. I don't know what else she's going to say, and I don't know if I got to come back to Rhonda at a later date. I'm looking at this tattoo on the side of Rhonda's neck, and I have to think back to what I already know about Lee Hines, aka Nitty. This guy is a manipulator. This is essentially a brand. He has put a brand on this woman's neck, and what that means, most importantly, is that he's got control over her. It's no surprise that Rhonda's lying to us to tell us that she hasn't seen, spoken to, or heard from Nitty in months. It makes sense. This is just another example of another woman that Nitty is controlling. At this point, I really think we're just scratching the surface of women that Nitty has control over. So we wanted to know, what's the relationship? Rhonda went on to say they dated, they had a relationship for a while, things didn't go well, and she kicked Nitty out months ago. She hadn't heard from him. So I said, okay, no, that's cool, we understand. And you know, we don't know if Nitty's really in there. We know that Rhonda is protecting Nitty. We can't go in, we don't have a search warrant, we don't even have probable cause for anything at this point. Nitty is simply a suspect. So we can't force our way past Rhonda to see if Nitty's there, and even if we did have a warrant, we wouldn't do that. We want this thing to go real easy. At some point, I've got to talk to Nitty, so we're playing this thing really cool right now. We're playing it like, okay, we appreciate your cooperation, thank you. We're leaving her cards and numbers for her to call us back, all the while knowing she's protecting Nitty, and Nitty may very well be listening to us as we're standing at this door. I said, if you see him, you hear from him, you will give us a call, right, Rhonda? Rhonda agreed. Myself and Detective Wilkowski left our business cards with Rhonda, knowing more than likely we're never gonna hear from her again. So we leave Rhonda's apartment, and I'm looking at Detective Wilkowski like, please tell me you got something else. Well, Eddie Wilkowski did his homework on Nitty. He pulled all the information I think that we needed. Eddie looked like he wasn't concerned at all. He says, Vince, I got another one. He goes, there's another girl that Nitty's dating right now. She lives in Far Rockaway, Queens. And to protect her identity, we're gonna call her Maria. So me and Eddie, we leave this 4-story walk-up of Rhonda's apartment, and we head straight to Far Rockaway, Queens. So the plan that Eddie and I came up with was when we get to Maria's apartment, I was gonna take the lead on this one. I wanted her to know I was from Atlanta. It didn't really work with Rhonda, so let's change it up a little bit. So Eddie Wilkowski and I arrive in Far Rockaway, Queens. We get out of the car and we're parked right in front of a building. It's almost like a townhouse type setup. The door is right on the sidewalk. We walk up to the door, we start knocking. The door opens up and a woman identifies herself as Maria, answers the door. This is who we're looking for. I introduce myself as a detective from Homicide in Atlanta, and then I'm accompanied by an NYPD homicide detective. I wanted Maria to know that 1, I'm from Atlanta, 2, I'm from Homicide, and 3, whatever I'm here for is so important that I flew all the way from Atlanta just to talk to her. She steps out of her door onto the sidewalk and meets Detective Wilkowski and myself right there in front of her place. The first thing I ask her is that you may know a guy named Lee Hines, also known as Nitty. Maria looks at me, looks at Detective Wilkowski, and goes full nuclear. She starts cussing us out, saying, I don't know no Nitty, and I'm trying to get a word in, and she's cussing me out, cussing Detective Eddie out. Why are you in front of my apartment? Why are you here? Detectives, I don't need this smoke. Get out of here. She's half talking Spanish, half talking English. To me, she sounded like Rosie Perez on steroids. And I'm looking at Eddie like, what's going on right here? In the midst of Maria cussing us out, I was able to get a question. Do you know Lee Hines? Do you know Nitty? And she says, I don't know him that well. I just went on one date with him. That's it. Doesn't know how to get in touch with him. Doesn't know anything about him. Doesn't understand why we're there. She has no association with him whatsoever. Can't even email him. She has no contact information at all. So she says. I know there's a reason why Eddie chose her for us to come visit. This is more than one date. I know that Rhonda in the 4-story walk-up had a tattoo of Nitty on her neck. There's no reason that Maria with her one date with Nitty is not in the same boat as Rhonda. It was all BS. That was the only thing I can get out of Maria. This woman was going off. She wanted nothing to do with us. She was fuming. She turns around, marches back into her apartment, and slams the door in our faces. She slams the door in our faces, and I'm looking at Detective Wilkowski like, come on, man. This was not even genuine. This was theatrics. It was my belief that she felt that if she went straight in on us, that we would leave her alone and we would leave. Now, I'm trying to regroup. Detective Wilkowski and I are discussing what we're gonna do next. My plan was to knock on the door again and not leave until we have a civil conversation with Maria. But before we could do that, the door opens up and a woman comes out and identifies herself as Maria's mother. She wants to speak to us. She's actually trying to keep the peace. She starts to tell me that Maria's upset, and now I'm thinking, okay, if I can't talk to Maria, maybe her mother knows about Lee Hines. I asked her, does she know Nitty? And right away she says, yeah. I felt that she wanted to help us because she didn't want her daughter dating this psychopath. At that point, I really felt that Maria's mom was gonna be a wealth of information, but I think Maria herself knew my mom is gonna go out there and spill the beans. Before I could ask her mom any questions, Maria opens the door, marches back out into the sidewalk, this time a little calmer, with a phone in her hand. She hands it to me and says, here, somebody wants to talk to you. So as soon as I get this phone, I know who this is. Maria went straight inside, called Nitty on the phone, even though she said she had no way of contacting him, to let him know the cops were here. And being the narcissist that Nitty was, he felt that he could navigate through this and told Maria, put that detective on the phone. I said hello, and I hear a male voice on the other end saying, what's up? This is Lee Hines, you looking for me? I identify myself as Detective Velazquez from Atlanta Police Homicide. So after introducing myself to Nitty, he wants to know why I'm there talking to Maria, and he also asks, how come I went over to Rhonda's house? Imagine that. Rhonda called him. Rhonda, who said she hadn't spoken or seen Nitty in months, got a tattoo on her neck, immediately calls Nitty as soon as we leave. So right now, I got Rhonda calling Nitty after we leave. I got Maria goes inside and calls Nitty on the phone while we're there. This is just another example of the control that Lee Hines has on these women. It is absolutely nuts. I explained to Nitty, I traveled here from Atlanta to speak to him because I wanted to ask him questions about the 2003 homicide in Atlanta where he was arrested. Real calmly, Nitty says to me, sure, I have no problem talking to you, but I need to contact my lawyer first. And I'm like, okay, I'll play this game with you. All right, when would you like to meet, Nitty? He goes, let me call my lawyer, see if I can set something up, and I'll let you know. I said, look, I'm available. I'm here all week. Let's do it today. Please get with your lawyer, pick a time, pick a place, and I'll be there. So Nitty assured me he's gonna call his lawyer, set up something so we can meet on this particular day. And I'm listening to Nitty talk, and his whole affect, his mannerisms, his voice inflection, his tone. This guy is a true sociopath. He feels like he has the upper hand. I'm a negotiator by trade, not just a homicide detective. I was a crisis negotiator longer than I was ever in homicide. And I'm listening to him talk, and I can hear the wheels turning in his head. He's trying to play chess with me. I'm moving a queen, he's moving a rook in my way, and this thing is just orchestrated. He's cool as a cucumber. In my opinion, in that conversation, he felt like he was in total control. The only kicker was he didn't realize that I could see right through it. There was an old TV show called Columbo. Columbo's mannerisms was to always play naive and not that bright. I did the exact thing. I was Columbo on the phone with Nitty. I wanted him to think that everything he was feeding to me, I was swallowing. It was good, like he's got me. I wanted to play it real easy with him. I wanted him to still feel like he was in control, because if he feels like he's in control, he's gonna continue to talk. He's gonna continue to think that he can manipulate me. But what he doesn't realize is I'm really manipulating him. He's doing exactly what I need him to do right now. He's still on the hook. So So I played it cool. I let him think he was in control and I played along. So I thanked Nitty for the conversation. I was real polite. I said, man, I appreciate your cooperation. We're just going down the list, checking things off, and you're just somebody we need to talk to. I appreciate it. I look forward to hearing from you again. So I hang up with Nitty. I hand the phone back to Maria. I leave her my business card and I say, please give this number to him and let him know I'll just wait for his call. So at this point, I don't really know what Nitty's gonna do next. There could be an opportunity where I meet him somewhere, or this could have just spooked him to the point where this guy just takes off out of New York City and he's ghost and we gotta chase him down somewhere else. So right now, I'm considering both options, but I know one thing, I'm not letting this thing die. I'm here in New York City. I'm gonna continue to try to reach out to him to either meet in person or eventually get a statement from him on the phone. Eddie and I got in the car and we left Far Rockaway, Queens and headed back to the city. So we're heading out of Far Rockaway, Queens, and I'm thinking we're done for the day, but what I don't know is that Detective Wilkowski has another card up his sleeve. He looks over at me and he says, hey Vince, I got an idea. I got another one. I got a woman named Jackie that used to date Nitty, but this one's gonna be tricky. I've talked to her in the past. She doesn't want to cooperate. She's deathly afraid of Lee Hines. And at this point, we don't even know if Jackie's willing to talk to us. He doesn't even know if she'd be willing to speak to me or meet us and what she may or may not say. But what do we have to lose? I'm like, let's do it. Let's give it a try. So Detective Wilkowski calls Jackie on the phone and I could hear him finessing this conversation. I could hear Detective Wilkowski say, listen here, I got a detective here from Atlanta that really needs to talk to you. He may be able to put this thing to rest for good. And I can't hear what Jackie's saying, but I'm on pins and needles just hoping that Jackie's gonna agree to meet with me. Eddie hangs up the call, he looks over at me, he says, we're a go. Jackie's willing to meet us. So Eddie tells me Jackie agrees to meet us at the parking lot of a store in Manhattan. Now what I understand, Eddie says, look, she normally doesn't want to get involved because she's so afraid of this guy. But what I can tell was that Eddie had forged a relationship with Jackie. She trusted him. And if Eddie suggested to her that she really needed to speak with me, she needed help. So in my opinion, Jackie was trying to get something out of this herself. If she's afraid of Nitty, she wants to tell us what she knows. But again, I don't know what she knows because she hasn't even told Detective Wilkowski yet. He doesn't know. He says he's asked her questions about his case, he's asked her questions about Atlanta, and she was silent. She wouldn't speak about it, and she was totally afraid of this guy. But on this day, Jackie agrees to meet me. We head to Manhattan, we pull into the parking lot, and I can clearly see there's a car there, and Eddie says that's her. Just like you've seen on TV, Jackie gets out of her car, and she gets into the back of Eddie's Crown Vic. I'm sitting on the passenger side, Eddie's in the driver's seat, and Eddie does the introductions.
How are you? How's everything going?
Jackie, good to see you. You look great. This is Detective Velazquez, all the way from Atlanta, and he wants to ask you some questions about Lee Hines.
Listen, this detective from Atlanta, very nice guy. Like I told you when I first spoke to you, there was some girl murder in Georgia, and Detective Velazquez is investigating that.
And I could immediately see the expression on her face changed. She went from a pleasant demeanor to tense and stressed out. So I had to think. Eddie had told me for months he had been trying to talk to Jackie to get information about his case, and then once I contacted him, my case, but Jackie was reluctant. She never told Eddie she didn't know anything. She just said she doesn't want to talk about it. That told me right there, Jackie may be the reason why I came to New York. This meeting right now may be what I need to hear, because I felt she's not saying she doesn't know anything, she's afraid of this guy. And I think she's got information, and I think we're in the right place right now. Jackie's sitting behind me, I lean over the seat, I shake her hand. So I asked Jackie if she was willing to speak to me, and she quickly said she was. And I asked her if she was okay if I recorded the interview. Jackie agreed. So getting a witness to agree to speak to me on tape is important because that is a huge hurdle. That means this is an official statement. So it's not like off the record, so to speak. So for them to agree to do that, that's a pins and needle moment. Many times people say no. It doesn't mean that I can't repeat what they say. It doesn't mean that I can't memorialize what they said in a written report. But there's nothing better than hearing a witness's own voice. A jury wants to hear that. So getting Jackie to agree to speak to me on tape was a huge benefit to this case.
You know, ever since Eddie gave me a call months ago, what we've done is looked at this case again, and we reopened it.
I wasn't sure what she was going to say, but I felt it was so important. I wanted to capture this moment in a visceral sense. I wanted to hear the raw emotion in whatever was going to come out of her mouth, good, bad, or indifferent. She says, okay, talk to me, detective. What do you want to know?
You know, I don't know if you understand how this works. When somebody gets arrested for something, you can make bond, and then you get out, and then you move the case forward to a grand jury for an indictment. And that's what we're looking at, what evidence we have or may have to move forward with this. He was charged with murdering a girl in Atlanta in 2003. So, you know, and I don't want, I just want to talk to you, but in regards to what you may or may not know.
I started by asking Jackie how she knew Lee Hines. Jackie tells me she's known and dated Lee Hines for a number of years. Now, this is a very familiar story to me, just like every other woman I've met so far associated with Nitty. Jackie is no different. I wanted to know, through the relationship she had with Nitty, did she have any information about anything that Nitty was involved in Atlanta?
Have you ever had a conversation with him about the case he was arrested for in Atlanta?
Jackie quickly looks at me, looks at Detective Wilkowski, and says, well, back in 2008, 2009, Nitty actually showed me paperwork from when he was arrested for murder in the city of Atlanta.
Do you remember on the papers, did you read where it said Georgia or Atlanta on the papers that he showed you back then?
I don't remember if it was Georgia or Atlanta, but I know he was living down south.
Okay.
So of course, my next question is, did Nitty talk to you about what happened in that case? Jackie took a long pause, looked at me straight in the face. She said, Detective, actually he did. And I'm thinking, this is why I'm here. This is the moment, and Jackie may very well be solving this case right now. And you're gonna hear exactly what Jackie had to say on tape in the next episode. Coming up on The Murder Mind. All of a sudden, Jackie drops a bombshell.
What did he tell you?
What just happened is what's called a third-party confession. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please hit the like button and subscribe. And please check me out on other social media platforms, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. Lastly, don't forget to come back for the next episode. You won't want to miss it.